What's up, guys? I'm so friggin' tired. I'm not talking about physically. I'm tired of the attitude in this country. Doesn't really seem to. It seems to be in other places, but not as prevalent. It seems like the average American person doesn't have the mental health guidelines that are necessary in order to make sure they're healthy. So they project their inner emotions. Hey, how you doing? I'm not lumping everyone into that category because that would just be crazy, but this country's falling apart because of the individual, not because of the politicians. The rest of the world hates Americans. It sucks to say. And if we had some sort of an outline put in place, that I know what the outline is, then we'd be able to generationally give it to us, our kids, our family, our friends, everybody, hang it up on your fridge. One piece of paper that perfectly outlines your individual psychologies as an itemized list that tells you how to help it and make it better, how to solve it. I know how to. It's something that would tell you every step-by-step process. Because we need a guide. And I ain't talking about Jesus or anything like that. We need a guide. Something that we can read, something we can hold, that's tangible, that tells every individual American person of the middle or low class what they can do to better themselves, because everybody else has the tools at their disposal. Some people still fail. Some people, like some celebrities, still have depression, but celebrities are part of the problem because of their inaction. There are acts that are being perpetrated in this world right now that are too awful to even say among good folk, that are still being perpetrated and covered up. Personally, I'm just so tired of it. And that's not even the biggest problem. The biggest problem is that everyone within a 75 or so percent bracket in at least America is suffering from something called ego, which is not narcissism. It's its own separate mental illness. It's when you feel something wash over you, and it makes you feel like you can't agree with something that someone else says just simply because you don't like them or what they have to say. Being truly divine means stepping out of yourself for a moment and not thinking about anything in terms of hatred, but instead seeing other people's perspective, because it'll help you grow. And if you don't grow, you're just waiting until death. Long story short. If I don't grow, I die, because I have severe heart failure with a low ejection fraction, major depressive disorder, peripheral neuropathy, and extreme depersonalization from 15 plus years of familial abuse. So I have it pretty rough. And I'm not too modest to say. And on top of that, I gotta see the state of the world every time out my window. When I wake up, when I go to sleep, whenever I turn on TikTok. It's gotta be about all this crap, when instead we can just be focusing on the solution. There's no solution unless you open your mind. And I'm not talking about religion. I'm not talking about something God gave you or something like that. I'm talking about something you have right now. This is your brain. Your brain is something that you can use on a daily basis in order to cure anything that you have wrong with you. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be something that comes inside of me that's depersonalization, which is you don't feel like you're human anymore because of the abuse that you went through. Or major depressive disorder, which is a severe form of depression that you not only feel mentally, but you also feel physically. And I feel physically depressed every day, every moment. But the real thing that bothers me is my heart, which has improved in about 2 years. But one of the real problems is that COVID, sorry to say that on here because I'm probably going to get tagged as a COVID channel, but COVID has made it so that way I can't get disability right now because I've been waiting 2.5 years, and then an important player inside the case got sick, and now I've waited another maybe 6 months, 4 months, something like that. So it's almost 3 years that I haven't had the ability to go out and make money. I've had a job every single day of my life since I was 16 years old. Sometimes even 2 jobs. One time even 3. But I've had something called also shift work disorder, which once I get into a job, it makes me feel like I just have to get out. Like my fight or flight response just immediately gets triggered. Eventually, I fixed that. And I held down a job, same job, for years. And it was a great job. And now, basically, I haven't had access to my own money as per what it is by taxation. My own money for almost 3 years. Somebody has to tell me what's wrong with that. That I can't do anything about my situation, so you're going to make it as hard as possible to improve it. Because with access to that money, I could be in cardiac rehab programs. I could hire a trainer to come by my house twice a week. I could buy a wheelchair for when I go food shopping if I ever have to. But now, in my current state, I can't go food shopping alone. I can't really do anything alone. I have to do it with the help of someone. And that person's not paid. That person's my wife. And she wasn't always there. I appreciate you, brother. How are you? I hope you're doing well. Let me know in the comments. But my situation aside, I know there's so many other people out there that are just like me, that are just as good of people. And I want to tell you something, even to the people that are considered bad or society's understandard. You're also good people. It doesn't matter what you're doing. It doesn't matter what you've done. It doesn't matter how much jail time you spent. You are good people because you have the ability to change. If you have the ability and you don't take the chance or take that ability, it's a missed opportunity. But as long as you realize that you have the ability to get better, that's all I really want anybody to know. I'm glad you're doing wonderful, man. Thank you so much for the rose. I really appreciate it. Thank you for being here. I'm having a rare low night in my life tonight. I usually don't suffer from emotional depression because I actually got rid of it. Instead, now I just suffer from physical depression. It's where my body just gets to the point where it's just so drained that all I need to do is just focus on a movie or something to just take my mind off of it. And I know a lot of people are going through that too right now. It's not as easy being happy when you live in the middle class or low class. Luckily, I'm fortunate enough to be with someone that is truly wonderful and also is doing well with their job. A lot of people aren't that fortunate. You know, what's worse yet is that I see so many opportunities where if I was healthy, I would drive straight to Washington right now and stand right in front of the gates and just encourage people to just hold my hand and hold their hand and hold their hand until we have thousands of people just lining the streets, making a statement, a completely peaceful statement. Because at this point, that's what it's taking. People are sitting behind their computers and their TVs, and they're just thinking to themselves, oh, well, somebody else is going to change it. Someone else is going to change it. No. Everybody else is thinking the same thing as you. If you are thinking that. If you want something done, you gotta get up and do it. No one else is gonna make you do it. No one else is gonna do it for you. Because everybody else is just as scared as you. Because we're in uncharted territory now, where in the history books you heard about evil people. But this hasn't been written down in history yet. This is something that if your kids are here to actually, or your kids' kids are here to learn about it in the history books, it's gonna have its own section dedicated just directly to it because it's that evil. And you might say to yourself, how could I believe in a God when all this stuff is going on? And you know what? I don't believe in religion. Me personally, I don't believe in religion. I'm on the fence about God, but I have beliefs, my own personal beliefs that reflect on what I've garnered throughout my voyage on life. And those beliefs have basically boiled down to the impact of common sense on my life, and how common sense has steered me in the direction that I'm going. And common sense is synonymous with truth, and truth can't be interpreted in any way whatsoever, and neither can the idea of God, oddly enough. So if you could think about how rare a coincidence that is, that two ideals that were human-made can be synonymous with each other. Something as deep and as broad and general as truth can be synonymous with something as fictional as God. I think that's amazing, and I think that really pays homage to a possible understanding of what it means to be truly spiritual instead of religious. And that was a long rant, but if you understand the point, can at least one person please just give me it in the chat? It would make the world to me. Right now, I'm suffering from just as much crap that everybody else here is going through. And, thank you for that question. It really took my mind off of it. No, I have not. I've had dill pickles, and dill pickle chips. Is it good? He might think it's good. You think it's good, buddy? Dill pickle dough? Oh, he blinked at me at that. One's for yes. Oh, man. Now that I really don't have my health anymore, have you ever had dill dough pizza? Oh, okay. I wasn't looking at it closely enough. Okay. No, I have not. That would be a very difficult dill dough pizza to work with because it's round and it's very large. So, for me, I would pass if on the food alone, but for the actual thing, no. But if it's like cheesy crust, I'd try it. Lately I've been pretty like good, pretty happy, but I have an upcoming surgery coming up and stuff like that, and it's just taken everything down. You guys wouldn't even believe the life that I've had. And I've been reflecting a lot lately because I've been decompartmentalizing from stress here and there. And it may not seem it, by the look on my face and stuff, but I'm really, really tired. Emotionally, spiritually. I've had a life that's pretty much in a class of its own. And I'm sure at first glance a lot of people would look at me and just see this white guy. I'm not white. I'm not anything. I'm completely transparent. Worst of all, I'm happy. I am, it's... You could be happy and sad at the same time. It's your mind trying to understand a certain situation, and in my case, it's understanding a lifetime of familial abuse, being at war with the people that aren't overseas, the people that I lived with. And I have 1,000-yard stare to show for it. It's when my mother said that when I look at stuff, she doesn't see any spark in my eyes anymore. It's like my eyes aren't glossy anymore. I can't look at anything except with a grain of salt. How I can see it with common sense and truth, because that can't be interpreted. Right now, especially, everything is just so hard for everybody. Whether you're black, white, Asian, it doesn't matter. Everything is difficult. Everyone has a difficult time. You're no exception. But you know what? On saying that, I'm coming to a realization right now as we speak, is that I can't do anything about it if I'm fighting with myself. The only way that I can do something about it is by spreading my message. Non-argumentative, peaceful. So that even the people that are suffering from ego and total paralysis of ego can see that what I'm saying is the truth. You have the ability to overcome any mental illness that you or anyone else is suffering from. You can teach people how to develop their own tactics against their own mental illnesses. Just basically by giving them a smile. At least. Once you force it, it becomes like an infection. You can't stop because it puts you into a state of mind where you have to force yourself to smile. And it's the same way that you can overcome ego. By forcing yourself. Doing something that you are not comfortable with. But knowing that it's right. And eventually it gets to become second nature. That's the way you fight any low-grade mental illness. No one's ever going to hear this explanation again, ever, in the history of man, except maybe like 1,000 years from now, when people have figured out the entire depths of the psychology, like I have. It's amazing how something like, it's also kind of biblical, if you think about it, spiritual even, something as simple as overcoming mental illness can be something that can be divine. That means rising above your current choices to overcome the obstacles that you're still not comfortable with. If you have depression, try for a little while to force yourself to be a happy person. Like you're an actor. Maybe you can develop an alter ego or an alter persona that you can put yourself into. Change up your way of thinking for a while. I don't know if anybody remembers that Android guy. He pretended that he was a robot and he went on Dr. Phil. That's a form of depersonalization. It's a grieving tactic for a life that's been less than adequate. The key to depression is forcing yourself. The key to major depressive disorder is forcing yourself. The key to depersonalization is forcing yourself. All mental illnesses that come into a frame of mind where it's not as serious as something that's based off of a mental symptom, a physical symptom, sorry. Anything that has... Ricky. Is that a Boys in the Hood reference? I just watched that movie yesterday. I'm not really sure. But, every symptom of every mental illness that you can think of that doesn't have a source that's physical can be cured. No, it's not, but if you want it to be, that's fine. I'll be Ricky. But are you Derek? Let me know. But every low-grade mental illness, I'm sorry if I'm putting it in a way where it's just sounding like messed up, but low-grade mental illnesses, even though every single one of them are high-grade by definition, all low-grade mental illnesses can be fixed by forcing yourself into a state of mind that you're otherwise uncomfortable with. Especially depression. Depression is really tricky because you have to have a double-edged sword that is not chopping either side, left or right. Both sides are extremely sharp, and if it touches either side, it's going to cut one little hole in the fabric that you're trying to weave inside your head. But if you hold that sword straight up and wield it with a lot of power, learning how to keep that sword straight up without cutting either side, that's the key to getting over depression. And ego, unfortunately, is like gasoline. It can't be fixed. It can't be changed unless you throw a match into it. And that actually means if you are suffering from it, or if you know that someone is suffering from it, feed their fire. Get them fired up. Make them tired so that you can break through to them. People are going to fall and fall and fall and fall and fall so hard that they're going to end up on the other side of the earth. But if you keep letting them fall, eventually they will learn by repetition. That's how you beat ego. It's very hard. I've done it with my wife, so I know that it works. I have a non-autistic savant syndrome. I'm basically a psychologist without the degree. Long story short. I was born like this, but I wouldn't realize until 20-something years later that I even had it, because I was stuck in a dissociative identity disorder from 15 plus years of systemic abuse at the hands of family that I thought I could trust. And I couldn't reach out to the outside world and actually do anything about it until something really bad happened in my life that woke me up from it. And once I was awake, I didn't let myself go back to sleep again. It's called identity disorder. Dissociative identity disorder. It's where you are basically in a car and the car's driving, but you're not behind the wheel. Yet the car is going everywhere that you're watching it go. You're not behind the wheel and you're not controlling. You're just kind of letting everyone else around you control it. And that was my life up until I was about 25 years old. Abuse at the hands of step family, abuse at the hands of regular family and brothers, parents. I couldn't trust anyone, I learned at a very young age. But I couldn't do anything about it because I was stuck inside myself. But one beautiful thing happened along the course of my life is that I was a truck driver over the road. I got to see the whole United States before it turned into this evil thing that it is. I was a carpenter. I've carried maybe about 3 or 4 houses in my lifetime. I was a plumber for a short time until the business tanked. I was a laborer, heaving things back and forth from dumpster to dumpster. And I've been a retail associate and a food service associate. First job was Dunkin' Donuts, making $5.15 an hour in 2005. And my racist manager fired me because she didn't like white people, and she was white. She told me to my face, so it's not like I can interpret it. See, a lot of people say that you can't be racist against white people, and that's just not true. Because although it doesn't happen from other races, it usually happens with my race. I feel so comfortable around people of different races, more so than my own, because I know a lot of white people just haven't woken up. They deal with depression and other types of identity disorders that they are unwilling to wake up from, and that's ego. And that's the same way that I told you earlier to fix it. Once you go through the rabbit hole, there is an end to it, and there is another side to come out. But sometimes when you go through the rabbit hole, you hit rocks and jagged edges on the way down, and it's friggin' difficult, man. Someone really close to me a long time ago, I helped get over their ego. They cheated on me 5 times with relationships online, and until I realized, you're a good person. Why are you doing this? They couldn't help it. They were searching for relief in their own mind. It had nothing to do with me. But I was able to help them get over their ego. And if I can do that, so can anyone. And 2 people are watching right now. That means we have 3 times as much of a likelihood to cure the world now than we did about 20 minutes ago. That means curing racism. That means curing anything that ego can touch. That means affecting change on the scale that you have never seen before. If you can help one person by one person, who can then help the individual. It's like pay it forward, but this is real. This is how you cure racism. This is how you cure hatred in general. This is how you open people's mind to truth instead of the interpretation of truth. Letting them fall, forcing them to fall, forcing them to trip over their own feet so that they can go through that rabbit hole, hit all those rocks on the way down, and come out on the other side, awakened. A lot of people don't have that chance until they end up having something happen in their life that puts them in that frame of mind. But if you're going to do it on your own, with people that are unwilling to change, they have to be pushed. And just because they hate it at the beginning doesn't mean they're going to hate it once they wake up. It's going to be quite the opposite. People that wake up are going to thank you eventually. Just because they can't see it now doesn't mean they can't. And like I said, you're never going to hear this speech again. Ever. From anyone, anywhere. Because we only live to be about maybe 75 on average. So this is going to be the last time. And if you can remember it, I don't know who you are, but you're still here watching. If you can remember this speech, everything that I'm saying, then you can relay it onto somebody else. And in turn teach them and develop your own practices that can be variations of the truth and nothing but the truth. So help you yourself, not God. Because God really in my opinion, wants you to do things for yourself. Because no one else is going to do it. The idea of God will not reach his hand down until judgment has come. So until then, it's on you and everyone else. And we've never had a more amazing example of what true inhumanity is in this country until we got our current president. And everything that we found out since, like the WEF and all that. I don't know if you know, but they're anti-human. And for a human to be anti-human, you have to start thinking about reptiles. But in all seriousness, I really don't believe that. It's possible, but I don't believe it. All I really believe in is myself and the potential that everyone around me has to be good. And not good in terms of what the individual would think, but the broad generalization of what good means. Good means being kind to each other so that we can work together as a species. Because if we were immortal, we would have a perfect planet, perfect environment, perfect scenario where we don't have to worry about being hurt or molested anywhere. But we're not like that. We live short lives. We live lives that go to now about 75 years, but when they started out, they were about 20 on average. We live to be about 20 years old. 1,000 years ago, supposedly. And you know what? That means that we have a gene pool. And that means that we can't carry anything with us into the afterlife, whatever it may be. But what we can send on after we die is the information that we've gathered and the strength that we've accrued throughout our lives. And if you can do that, you can do anything, man. Anything. It doesn't matter if it's horrible or if it's good. The capability is still there. I know that sounds weird and it sounds bad to say, but it's your potential that matters. What you use it for would be considered good or bad. But good or bad is all perspective. What you find good, someone else might not find good. I didn't rehearse any of this. I'm just literally sitting here talking out of my butt. But life, all we really have to know about it is that we are here. And that what we do with it can either be great or it can be god-awful. And I say god-awful because if there is a God watching us, studying the things that we do and think on a daily basis, judging us off of them, then commonsensically, I would want to do great things. And to me, great is based off of my own personal potential. And with this weak heart that I have in my chest, I want to use the last beat of it in order to make the world a better place for my kids. And your kids too. Because I really don't give a fuck. Pardon my language. I don't give a frick if you're black, white, Hispanic, Asian, or even an alien. Your kids are going to have to live here with my kids. And me personally, I don't have a racist bone in my body. I don't have an egotistical bone in my body. You can tell me right now I'm a cunt bag, and it wouldn't affect me because it's just words. Words don't mean anything when you see somebody else's potential. It's about opening up your mind and their mind and showing them a better way. And that's not egotistical to do. That's just the right thing to do. The right thing on a cosmic scale. I'm not talking about the right thing in here. I'm talking about the right thing that is just the idea of right in general. The idea of truth in general. The idea of what God would stand for if you had the truth to prove their existence. And over the course of me explaining all this, I have cured any little bits and traces of depression that I've been feeling all night, and I have empowered myself. And I'm going to download this live and post it on my YouTube, which is in the link on my profile that has the Instagram button. And I'm hoping that more people can watch it. And more people can relay this information that is fair. It's nothing but fair, because anybody can sympathize with this view. Doesn't matter if you hate Americans, or doesn't matter if you're on a superpower like North Korea. Anyone, even Kim Jong-un, can sympathize with this view. Change for the better, man. That's all that life should ever be in the focus of. Change. Change and truth. Those are the only things that, like I said, can't be interpreted. The only things that will never change based off of what they stand for. You can put a mask on it, you can pull the wool over it, you can put a curtain in front of it, an iron one. But you can't change what truth is. You can't change what God represents. You can't change what happiness has the potential to be. And I got news for you. Technically, everyone is racist. That's why racism exists. But our racism boils down to fear of the unknown and what a person that you're looking at or a thing that you're looking at represents. Fear is only the fear of the unknown, so know it. Duh. Get to know somebody's life story. That's the key to making friends and building relationships. If you know this person's story and you can interpret it for yourself, then that story becomes part of you. Because you learned it and because a part of it helped you grow. Now I'm getting the feeling that a lot of people in this world view life the way that I do. But what scares the crap out of me is that there's more people than that view it in a negative way. A negative context that's anti-human, anti-religion, anti-God, and pro-fear, and instillment of fear. And I just want to say, wherever there is fear, just like the Jedi and Sith, wherever there's fear, there will be hope. Because you will always violate someone else's rights and someone else's happiness with fear. And that violation causes hope. Hope that things can change. And with hope comes action. And with action comes drive. Through empowerment. And with that comes true change. In this moment right now, you've been watching this video. I don't know what your intentions are, I don't know who you are, I don't know what your thoughts are, but you've been watching this video for probably about 30 minutes. You actually helped me more than I hope I helped you by just sitting there and listening. And I want you to know that I love you. I don't care who you are. I can see your face on the little picture there. I love you. as a human being and as a friend. And I hope you have a great night. And I appreciate you for sitting in here and listening. You've actually helped cure my depression just by being there. Thank you. And take care. I'll see you later.